Chapter 1. Why Impatience Has Nothing to Do with Time. Impatience gets mislabeled. People think it's about wanting things faster. More trades, more money, quicker results. That's surface level. Impatience isn't about speed. It's about trust. Specifically, the lack of it. When you're impatient in trading, you're not saying, I want more. You're saying, I don't trust what I'm doing. You don't trust your edge. You don't trust your rules. You don't trust that waiting will pay off. And most importantly, you don't trust yourself to sit still without interfering. If you did trust those things, there would be no urgency. Urgency is what shows up when certainty is missing. That's why impatience spikes after losses, or during slow sessions, or when price moves without you. Those moments trigger a quiet fear. What if this doesn't work? What if I'm wasting time? What if I'm wrong about myself? Impatience is the brain trying to escape those questions. It uses action as anesthesia. A trade feels better than doubt. Clicking feels better than waiting. Doing something feels safer than sitting in uncertainty. So impatience isn't a flaw. It's a signal that trust has collapsed somewhere in the system. Chapter 2. Why the brain replaces trust with action, and why traders confuse activity with competence. The human brain is not designed for probabilistic environments. It's designed for cause and effect. Do this, get that. Touch fire, get burned. Work harder, see more output. Trading violates that wiring completely. You can do everything right and lose. You can do everything wrong and win. Effort and outcome are disconnected. That's not just uncomfortable, that's threatening. So the brain tries to restore a familiar structure. If outcome is uncertain, it increases activity. If results are unclear, it adds involvement. If time passes without feedback, it demands movement. This is not a trading problem. It's a biological reflex. Your brain associates stillness with danger. In nature, inactivity meant vulnerability. So when price moves and you do nothing, the nervous system reads it as exposure. That's where impatience is born. Not from greed, from the discomfort of unresolved uncertainty. Now here's the part traders don't want to admit. Impatience feels intelligent. It disguises itself as analysis. It wears the mask of engagement. It says, I'm staying sharp. But sharpness isn't activity. Sharpness is selectivity. And selectivity feels like laziness to an insecure mind. When you don't fully trust your edge, you start outsourcing confidence to behavior. You stay at the charts longer. You lower standards slightly. You justify entries because price is close enough. That's not impulsiveness. That's bargaining. You're negotiating with uncertainty instead of respecting it. And every negotiation weakens your internal authority. Because now the rules aren't in control. Your mood is. This is why traders with decent strategies still fail. Not because the edge is bad, but because they never allow it to operate independently of their emotions. They keep touching it, adjusting it, second-guessing it. That constant interference is not refinement, it's anxiety management, and the market does not reward anxiety management. Here's another truth that stings. Traders say they want confidence. What they really want is relief. Relief from doubt, relief from waiting, relief from feeling behind. So they trade to make the discomfort stop, even when the setup isn't there. That's not lack of discipline. That's emotional self-regulation using financial risk. And it's lethal long-term, because now trading isn't about execution. It's about soothing your nervous system. And a system built for emotional relief will always overtrade. Let's talk about boredom, because traders lie about this one. They call it boredom. But boredom in trading is not lack of stimulation. It's the absence of validation. Nothing is happening that confirms you're competent. Nothing is proving you're progressing. So the mind invents urgency. Something must be done. That belief is poison. Professional level behavior often looks like non-participation. And if you haven't trained for that psychologically, your brain will interpret it as regression. So you intervene, you shrink time frames, you find reasons, and every time you do, you reinforce one belief. I don't trust my system enough to let it be silent. Trust requires withholding action and tolerating the unease that follows. Most traders never build that tolerance. They keep resetting it. That's why impatience doesn't fade with experience. It escalates. Chapter 3: How Impatience Destroys Consistency Without Blowing Accounts. Impatience doesn't usually kill accounts dramatically, it erodes them quietly. It shows up as slightly worse entries, slightly worse exits, slightly lower R multiples, slightly more trades than planned. Nothing catastrophic, just enough damage to keep you stuck. This is why impatient traders feel like they're always almost there, because impatience keeps resetting the trust building process. Every time you break rules out of urgency, you send your brain a message: I don't trust this enough to wait. So trust never compounds. You stay dependent on recent outcomes. A win makes you calm. A loss makes you reactive. That emotional dependence is the opposite of discipline. Consistent traders are not calmer by nature. They're less involved emotionally because they've built trust through repetition. They've seen, I wait, and it shows up. I pass, and it doesn't matter. I do nothing, and the account survives. That history creates stability. Impatience keeps you from accumulating that history, so you stay fragile. Chapter 4: Restoring Trust and the Rule That Enforces It. You don't fix impatience by trying to be patient. Patience is not a personality upgrade. Impatience disappears when trust is restored, and trust is not restored through thinking. It's restored through non-negotiable behavior. This is where a rule matters, not a guideline, not a reminder, a rule that removes choice. Here is the rule. If a trade setup has not fully met every predefined condition, you are forbidden from interacting with price in any way except observation. No small position. No early entry. No I'll manage it tight. Observation only. This rule does one thing. It forces trust to be rebuilt through evidence, not emotion. Every time you wait and nothing bad happens, trust increases. Every time you wait and a setup appears, trust deepens. Every time you miss a move and survive, trust stabilizes. That's how impatience dies, not through disciplined speeches, but through repeated proof that you don't need to interfere to be okay. Here's the final reality. Impatience is not aggression. It's fear. Fear that without action, you'll fall behind. Fear that without constant input, this won't work. Fear that without control, you're exposed. The rule removes your ability to act on that fear, and in doing so, it teaches your nervous system something new. Waiting is safe. Silence is survivable. And you are not required to do something every time the market moves. Trust isn't built by doing more. It's built by staying consistent when doing nothing feels unbearable. That's the work.